Hello there. Rishi Sunak is announcing that everyone must get a maths education up to the age of 18. Sounds like a rebranded back to basics thing to me. Now, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe. Click the little bell, select all, and then like and comment below. The UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is planning to bring maths education to every child up to the age of 18, just like many other major economies do. And part of his argument about this will be the disturbing statistics showing that 8 million adults in England alone have only attained the numeracy skills of a primary school child. But you do have to ask if this lack of skills hasn't been driven by successive governments' policies. And Sunak also wants to make sure that all children are given access to skills that takes advantage of the new data-driven economy. That they get the core maths skills to enable them to understand and properly analyse that data. And he's giving a speech later today where he's expected to say, "Just half of all 16 to 19-year-olds study any maths at all, yet in a world where data is everywhere and statistics underpin every job, our children's jobs will require more analytical skills than ever before. And letting our children out into the world without those skills is letting our children down." Now, students who get to a certain point in their studies may well have an eye to their own future. And they need to be interested in and be invested in what they learn, if what they are taught is going to stick in any meaningful manner. They are therefore more likely to want to study something where they think the employment and the money is. Either that or the subjects that are perceived as the easy options to get good-looking results. And then hope it's good enough to get a good job. And don't forget the big drive in 2021 from certain quarters to brand it as somehow racist, to demand that people get their maths answers right. So does that mean that the answer to what is 1 + 1 can only be decided on the basis of ethnicity? Is this the type of maths we mean? No wonder people have had problems with maths up until now then. Seriously though, maths concepts have been core to a successful economy for, well, ever since economies were formed. Whether we realised it at the time or not, much of what we've been up to since the year dot, boat building, house building, tool making, etc., 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 have all been built upon maths, even if we did it using knowledge and skills attained by trial and error. It was all still based on maths, even if we didn't understand it at the time and assigned it to alchemy or witchcraft. Even crossing the road safely requires your brain to make complex calculations on speeds and distances and time to get across it. But then we learnt to quantify it in numbers and equations, and then learned how to apply those numbers and equations to what we did to make the outcomes more predictable and better quality. And the maths behind some of the world's most ancient monuments is astounding. But do we truly value those skills when we have computers and calculators to hand? Computers and calculators that model pandemics and the potential outcomes of any responses we make to them, and predict the weather, climate change, political polling, and the future GDP and inflation of whole nations, to mention but a few. How many people just accept those maths-based computer modelling forecasts because they have no capacity of assessing the claims for themselves? Every time you get in your car or onto an aeroplane, bus or ferry, you are entrusting yourselves to the maths and computers that helped build and maintain the thing. So why, after Tony Blair's mantra of education, 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 have we still not learned the importance of the basics? We obviously did not care before that, and Sunak's speech today shows we don't seem to care now. We seem not to care about the central importance of maths to everything we do. But it is central and it is important. So why would a Prime Minister feel it necessary to even include such a stuff in a speech? Could it be that we now see feelings and sociology as much more important than maths? Or just choosing the easiest courses as the easy way to getting a degree? Or maybe it's because we need people more based on the service economy as we look to decarbonise, i.e. deindustrialisation going forward. Maybe the thought is that maths is for nerds with spreadsheets, like boring accountants. Or is it the case that with automation, maths has been removed mostly from the workplace, or even removed from our lives? Going back a way, when you walked into a shop and bought a few items, you'd tot it up in your head as you walked around, you knew how much cash you had in your pocket and could work out if you could afford the goods and the bus fare home. Then you'd go to the counter, the shopkeeper would tot it all up, you'd hand over your dosh and get the correct change back, all with no calculators or computers. And that was when we had 12 pennies to the shilling and 20 shillings to the pound, with halfpennies too. And don't get me on to guineas. How many people today, unless they are on a tight budget, only find out how much they'd truly been stung for when they unpacked the shopping when they got home? So do we live in a society where most of our need to know maths has been outsourced to our mobile devices? But at least people can operate those devices competently at speed to get the things they want when they want them. They may not know anything about the maths or technology behind their device, but they can game like demons on them. Anyway, if schools cannot teach their charges sufficient maths by the time they're 16, then how will an extra 2 years help them? Are we saying that we have to give the over 16s an extra comprehensive education to make up for their comprehensive education? And many people are asking the valid question of who will teach these skills, given we already have a lack of maths teachers? Because we obviously don't think maths is important enough to employ a sufficient number of maths teachers. But to make the basics of any subject stick, you do need to go further and deeper into it. So you do need the teachers. And then, of course, there are those who wish to be taught such skills. As I've already alluded to, they need to want to learn the maths that they would be required to learn. They need an inducement. Other countries manage to offer that inducement. Why can't we? And they need to understand they have a very good reason to know this stuff. Otherwise it will be time and money wasted on trying to educate closed minds through deaf ears. Anyway, it will make for a good soundbite for Sunak's politics, but I doubt it will ever see the light of day. There are too many much more important woke things to force into students' heads these days. And finally, when subscribing, please don't forget to press that little bell and also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. And thank you all so much for taking the time to watch the show.